Hello and welcome to Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I am Elvis, your host, and I'm here to let you know that this is a not safe for work podcast. We are teachers at the end of our weeks and really the end of our ropes, and we'd like to be able to talk honestly and openly about education without having to worry about losing our jobs. So we'll be using pseudonyms throughout the podcast, hence the Elvis. Anyway, my friends, I'd like to start by giving a big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters out there. If you have $5 a month and just want to hear more of this podcast, want to support it, want it to keep going, well, sign up for our Patreon. Go to Patreon, look up Teacher Needs a Drink podcast, and you get access to over 100 episodes of exclusive content. You get your name right at the beginning. You get to join our Facebook. You get to listen to live recordings. You get to have chats with the host. We have movie watch parties. There's all kinds of great stuff. So join it now. But first, let me thank the people who have. Big thank you to Terry J, Justin M, Tracy B, Miss Wonderstats, Quentin P, Ekabex, Mistress Mischief, Natasha S, Miss Anthropy, Princess Buttercup, Dragon Lady, Kel C, Shannon E, Helena C, Aaron B, Stephanie S, Maggie M, Texas Teacher Kristen, Miss Sunshine, Hattie F, James Nally J, Jody D, Samantha D, Lisa C, Rachel, Jen Genie, Exhausted Band Director, Kimberly K, Jessica A, Swivel Ev Owners, Amanda F, Ariana L, Physics Runner, Steph, Science Teach 17, Michael M, William P, Aldrich T, La Scarpianita, Britt M, Noel R, Teresa H, Biker Teach, Marsha M, Christina B, Kristen B, Jason F, Abby B, Sarah B, Regina N, Josie S, Sam B, Lucy P, Mary E, Jamie B, Kristen W, Vanessa J, Mary C, RJR, Kristen C, Johanna H, Spurs Panties, Irma A, Nimi, and Sarah N. Big thank you to all of them. All right, my friends, this is episode number 157, and we made it this far thanks to the love and courtesy of Ludlam Dramatics. If you are a theater teacher or no one in your building, you need to go to Ludlam Dramatics. They are the few companies in America that makes executive educational theatrical classroom posters. Classroom posters that explain concepts like parts of stage, how to do stage makeup, history, famous figures. There's all kinds of great stuff. So go to Ludlam Dramatics and stock up that room now. Whew. All right, my friends, it is October. My birthday has passed. Oh, man. This has been like a crazy month and a half. Like, this isn't the craziest time I've ever had in school year, but it's starting to feel a little bit like the before times. Just a little bit. We're getting there. But man, things are hectic. And so I really want everyone out there, if you're starting to get stressed, if anything's going on, please take care of your mental health. Take a day. Do whatever you need to. Take a step away. Take a long lunch break if that's what you need. Just do something to take care of yourself. And worst comes to worst, start looking at other schools. You can always change at the semester break. Anyway, Space Panties is coming in this weekend. I can't wait to see her. We're going to record some stuff. It's going to be amazing. All right, my friends, I love you. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy episode number 157. Woohoo! Balls. And welcome to Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I am Elvis, your host, and today I am joined by a cast of people we haven't had all together in a long time. I'd like to start by welcoming back Mr. Wayne Kurr.
Hey, everyone. I seem to have misplaced my lube.
I hate you.
And also today, Miss Buddy O'Hare.
Hey, Elvis. Hey, folks.
Hey. And we got a glimpse of chocolate last week, but now we get the whole cake. It's Mr. Count Chocolate.
I know I've said this before, but I am legitimately counting my chocolate blessings. Hello, everybody.
Hello. And last but not least, Miss Shirley Temper.
I did not go to law school and rack up 6 figures in student loans to become a vigilante. That is for billionaires and narcissists and adult orphans for some reason.
Well done, folks. Well, welcome. It's the middle. It's October. Now, I know there are some districts across the land that are doing like a fall break. I'd never really heard of this before, but I think it's beautiful. A break halfway through. They just get, instead of spring break, you get a fall break too. I love it. We have Indigenous Peoples Weekend. It's a 4-day weekend here for my school. We had a half day on Friday, and then Monday there's no school for the Indigenous Peoples Day. And then, but I also get a half day next Friday. So it's almost like a 3.5 day school week, and Space Pay is coming next weekend. And so I just, I'm almost in like vacation mode. It's more, goblin mode, where I'm not bathing, I'm not putting on clothes. I got to fix that soon. But How are you guys doing? Wayne, it's been a minute. What's going on with you?
I'm muted. That's what's up. I just been busy with all the after school crap that I am responsible for. Life has been one of those things where it's like, can we please have a pause button installed? That would be nice. But yeah, we had like, I was able to close one show and then we moved on to our next project. And that project is currently kicking my ass and stretching out my balls and playing with them, and it's not fun.
I'm sorry you're not enjoying your balls being played with. Huh.
As in, like, you know how some just take the balls, rip them off, and start banging them together? It's like that.
Oh, well, that doesn't sound pleasant. I'm sorry to hear that, Wayne.
So, well, it's better than putting them through a shredder, I guess. Oh, sorry.
Oh, boy. Bunny, how are things going with you? What do you have?
Nobody's playing with my balls.
I'm going to say that's a good thing, Bunny. I support that. No one should mess with Bunny's
Considering
balls.
she sings about them.
We're okay around here. The Fufu and I have been playing a super fun game that she learned from the kids at daycare called Taking Turns Getting Each Other Sick. So I actually went to school for 4 days with strep before I realized it was not, in fact, allergies.
Oh, boy.
So I got the antibiotics and felt better, within 48 hours. So that was fine. But it was just one of those like, oh, one of us gave it to the other one. I'm almost certain. So, yeah, but that's over. So we're doing okay around here.
Well, Shirley, it's been a minute for you. What's been going on with you? I don't think we've had you on this school year.
Oh, you've had me on this school year. It's just been a little while. It's been an interesting school year. I had hardcore porn airdropped to me for the first time in my career.
Oh, shit.
So that was fun. I shared it with our podcast mega chat. That was great. And I've had a lot of issues with a specific student. It got so severely profound that I had to have them removed from my program. It was a big deal, and they're a senior, and that was happening. And I had a cancer scare recently. I'm okay. Everything
Good.
turned out okay, but just a lot of small stuff like that kind of added up. But I had Thursday and Friday off, so.
I'm good. You had Thursday and Friday off, so have you been able to relax these last few days at least?
I did. It was nice. And then tomorrow's just professional development, so it'll be an opportunity to get some work done, hopefully.
As long as they let you into your classroom. But I'm glad you're here. I'm sorry about all the bullshit. That really sucks.
Oh, it's okay. I'm happy to be here.
Count, I'm calling to you. Unmute yourself. What's going on with your world if you want to share what you want to share?
This is like the first week in a couple weeks where I've actually felt really healthy. I thought it was allergies, and allergies progressed into like an upper respiratory infection. Then there were some travels in there. But actually, I'm doing well. We are a quarter of the way through the school year. I explained that to some seniors recently and saying, like, hey, if you don't wake up, you're already like a quarter of the way through with your senior year. I need you to understand that no one just hands you a diploma. The same thing we kind of give to the spiel we give to a kid every year. But for some reason, this is going to be one of the most challenging years, I'll say, as in my role, because we just had some seniors that showed up and just really want credit for just being alive and showing up to school, as opposed to like actually working and succeeding and experiencing success on their own. So there's been a lot of parent conversation, and as you heard, like at the beginning of the year, there's always an influx of parents in my office that don't like to respect boundaries, and so they're really loving me right now when I'm making the phone calls. Like, hey, so about this whole school thing, remind your child that they're still in it.
They have to
still
do
have to
things.
show up and do something.
Well, that was acceptable for the last 2.5 years that, if you were a kid, you could just show up. And as long as you were attending school, you had to be graduated. You had to pass. Oh, boy.
You're right. You're right.
It's
And
not fair that these kids have to work.
exactly. You make a very valid point, but we still expect them to do that in order to get that illustrious piece of paper that tells them they are a graduate.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're there, and I'm glad you're fighting the good fight. We need more people like you.
Aww.
From the Teacher Needs a Drink contact page, we have a message from user Twatwaffle. Just a warning, I am writing this out of grief, anger, and annoyance. So here it goes. A colleague of mine passed away and we were notified today. It was very sudden. I work at a high school and our day starts around 7 a.m. I first heard about his passing at 10:30 a.m. from other colleagues. A short time later, we got an email from our head principal telling us of the news and mentioned that an announcement would be made to the students later in the day, and we had an optional faculty meeting after school we could attend. Now, my annoyance is not with the principal, but with our superintendent. Our principal and our union president both contacted him asking for a half day for students so teachers could gather together to process this sudden news. He said no. At the moment, it looks like we will continue as normal with our principal providing coverage and counselors to us and students as needed. I doubt the superintendent will make any changes for us to take some time. After all, he only lost a foot soldier while we lost a friend. Thank you for your show. I love listening to it. Damn.
Yeah, that really, really, really sucks.
So my campus lost one of our teachers last year to COVID, and he was older. He was in his late 60s, but he'd been a teacher there forever and ever and ever, universally loved, double vaccinated, did everything right, and died. And it was very sudden and shocking and tragic. And nobody received any time. Like, we had to just continue, and his students had subs, and it just and that's not even the only death. Last year we had or maybe at the end of the school year before that, we had a teacher take their own life, and it wasn't public knowledge, but everyone knew, and they were very kind of cutthroat. We had a different principal then, and they were cutthroat about how they handled it. They basically took her name down next to her classroom and threw subs in, never addressed it. It was never addressed. And it sucked. That one sucked.
That is so unhealthy for, I know that the people that make those decisions are thinking like, oh, well, we're not going to dwell on it. We're going to carry on. But no,
it was cold.
People are traumatized. Like, people need to process these emotions. It's that thing that we say over and over and over and over again about Maslow and Bloom. Like, if you have teachers and students in current active trauma, how much good learning do you think is taking place? Good Lord.
None. I can guarantee you that nothing happened in either one of those classrooms for the rest of the year.
Yeah. It's easier for them just to erase the teacher than to deal with the problem. Wayne?
I mean, this is one of those scenarios where I look at it as they're probably just going to post the job before they even have the obituary written. And it's bullshit. It's total bullshit. We're being considered, from this whole thing, it sounds like we're being referred to as a cog in a machine as opposed to the human that we are. And we're not being respected as that. We're just being treated as, okay, you don't have the right to have an emotional response to what the hell is going on. You just need to keep teaching the kids because you're a glorified babysitter.
And that really hurts. It
does.
Because we have someone who, you could see it happening to you, where if you died while working this job, they're not going to remember you. It's easier for them to take your name down than to have to deal with it.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I'd rather go to a place where, at least they, pass a card, have a moment of silence, something to acknowledge my existence.
Yep.
Count?
We had a situation very similar to this last year, where we found out that overnight one of our administrators passed away, like in his sleep, and we found out maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock the next day. And it's one of those things that once a couple people find out about it, well, you have to like call a meeting and alert your staff. So like during lunch, we had everyone meet and we just basically said everyone that has A lunch, all the staff come to this place, we notify them. Everyone that has B lunch, we notify them. And then we kind of had to go through and determine like which students had the closest relationship with him and notify those students first because they were going to hear about it. And then at the end of the day, you kind of send a phone call out to alert all the parents. But this particular administrator was in charge of my entire alphabet in terms of who I'm responsible at my the students on my campus. And so for weeks and months, there were just students learning, processing, and grieving. So coming to your office constantly, like every day, and then some that wouldn't come to school, and then some that felt like they lost like a second parent. Um, because he was a phenomenal AP and he was a champion for all student success. And so when you find someone who is in everyone's corner, everyone kind of agrees. But I remember we had this conversation as a staff, like, how do we honor him? How do we continue this legacy? And we didn't get an opportunity. Like when his funeral came, um, basically this sounds insensitive, but it was actually really good. We sent out a Google form and said who would like to attend, and whoever decided they wanted to attend, we made sure we were going to have coverage and subs or whoever from across the district to come and cover those classes. So, but like there was no stoppage of the school day, and it echoed all year long. As proud as I was as the person that spoke at graduation, they talked about this particular individual at graduation. There was a moment of silence, at sporting events. There was a moment of silence in the school day when we did the announcements. So it's just really, really tough. And it sucks that there's no, I feel like at that moment, it almost felt like we didn't value life enough to press pause for a little bit, and someone somewhere decided that the school day must go on, which just felt really, really heavy to a campus that was grieving a lot.
That really sucks, but it also comes to that when you have, I don't know, I see a little bit of the side of not completely stopping the school day. I understand maybe taking classes or offering class alternatives, like say this was a senior teacher, like giving those students an opportunity to go somewhere else and not have to attend, that teacher's empty classroom or sub-filled classroom the same day. But when you're in a large school that might have several thousand students, to shut down everything, I can see how that's torn. And as a teacher, I'm like, well, they need to respect us. But I don't know. I have a hard time seeing the complete fine line in that. Now, yeah, I really don't. I think your campus did make the right decision by, hey, who would like to attend this? We will make sure that you can attend it no matter what. Even if you're full of shit and didn't even know the teacher, we will make sure you can be there. But yeah, I don't know. This is all tough. Yeah, with 3,000 kids, you can't just press pause.
All of the suicide prevention research confirms that talking about suicide, this was kind of in reference to the teacher at Shirley School, talking about suicide openly does not increase suicide rates. So, like, just pretend, like, taking the teacher's name off the doorway and not doing anything, in her memory or anything like that, like, that's not serving anybody. That's not helping anybody. That's not venting future suicides. Like, that's not accomplishing anything except dishonoring the person who is lost and almost gaslighting the students who are grieving, like, and staff, like, to carry on like nothing is wrong almost feels like gaslighting.
I recall an instance where I was going through high school and a very dear friend of mine killed herself. And the school tried to sweep it under the rug because they had some people who were coming in from out of district to monitor some shit that was going on that week on our campus. And I remember being outside of the staff where a counselor said, of course she would have to do it on this goddamn week.
Oh, no. That's tacky as fuck.
Yeah, that's exactly what was said. And I overheard it, and I went in and I got myself in trouble that day because I was just like, no, you do not get a chance to say that about my fucking friend. We went through a couple of things after that with the campus administration, and they understood that they should not fucking talk to me anymore for the rest of that senior year. And, it just, I don't think that our school districts, or at least from an administrative level, have a respect for they don't have a respect for how to handle and how to deal with death, whether it's a faculty member, administrative member. They may stop if a kid dies of something that is like cancer or something else tragic. But if it's a suicide, I mean, they're definitely going to try to sweep that under the rug as soon as possible. And I think that's just a load of shit. Our job is to prepare kids for actual living situations in life, and but grief is part of that, which means that yet again we are going to be throwing. We're going to be throwing another thing that teachers have to do, and teaching kids how to deal with grief. But I mean, let's just go ahead and acknowledge that life at some points do end, and we need to be respectful of that. Not necessarily that we have to stop the whole entire school day, but we at least need to take a moment and help those that were deeply affected. And then, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they got a fucking crisis protocol for everything else. Why don't we have a protocol for dealing with death?
I think that's really valid. I think that's incredibly valid. And schools are going through that. And I think as we have to, as a society, deal with a lot more death in education than we ever have before.
Yep.
It's something that's going to be there. And I think it's really important that we encourage these students to process it and deal with it, because if nothing is dealt with at school, I mean, it's not the school's job to process it, but if they don't even acknowledge it, that's going to cause the kid to maybe think, oh, well, maybe I should acknowledge this at home, or maybe this isn't a big idea.
If you're interested in trauma-informed teaching and responding to trauma, there's a website called Star Commonwealth, STARR. They're somewhere up north, like Michigan or Minnesota, or like somewhere up there, but I want to say it's Michigan. I could be wrong. That does online trainings, and you can earn CPE hours for it, about trauma-informed teaching and helping staff members who've experienced trauma. Like, they have some things on their website. So if you are a teacher and you are interested in helping as an untrained, layman, helping your students or your coworkers kind of field these things, that's a good one. And also just wanted to throw out there, since we're talking about it, the suicide text line, the crisis text line. If you text the word home to 741-741, that's 24/7 crisis counseling. So I feel like anytime we talk about mental health or suicide, that's an important one to throw out there.
I think not only do we need to make sure that we give the students time, the teachers time, a lot of time the districts won't. And the districts also don't know what's going on in your lives, especially if it's a personal problem or personal trauma. And that's where you need to take your mental health days, your sick days. And sometimes you don't need to have an excuse. You don't need to even have a death in the family, but you might be burning out because of just stress, trauma, either inside the school or outside, or, both. And there is nothing wrong with, taking a mental health day to just go shopping, go for a walk, do something you can't normally do, enjoy some silence. There is nothing wrong with that. And I encourage everyone to do that because we always talk about it, like Bunny always says, learning can't happen in a traumatic situation. Bunny, say the words for me. I'm going to mess it up.
Learning can't happen during active trauma.
That's right. And so even if it's traumatic times you're going through just because of a stressful endeavor, maybe you're having issues at home, you're having issues, whatever, take the time, heal, let your mind start healing. It's more than just getting a good night's sleep. Everybody needs that. So yeah, take care of yourselves. Do-do-do. Hey guys, guess what?
What's that?
Elvis.
We have a Patreon.
Ooh.
Holy shit. Is that like
Fucking
OnlyFans?
lie. You
That's
lie.
right. We have a Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, you can subscribe to our Patreon, support Teacher Needs Drink podcast. By doing that, you get your name right at the beginning of the podcast. You get access to our special Facebook group. There's over 97 different pieces of additional exclusive audio content you can only hear through the main feed, and more is coming out all the time. In fact, we had a watch party for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure a few weeks back, and then we're going to have a movie review of it that we're going to have only on the Patreon. So you should sign up and do it now! Do it! Woo!
Take my money.
My friends, would you rather perform surgery on a loved one without professional assistance or pee out a small worm?
Well, shit.
I have a lot of questions.
Too much tequila.
You ever see, was it Poltergeist 2?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Shirley, let's start with you.
Okay, first of all, am I an accomplished surgeon?
Are
In
you?
the first? No, that's why I don't understand the first card.
That's why it's going to be trouble. No, this is you. Would you perform surgery on a loved one without professional assistance, or would you rather pee out a tiny small worm?
Nah, I'll pee out a roundworm. I ain't care.
Yeah. All right. Wayne, what about you?
So my wife is a trained medical professional. So do I get to pick which family member?
I wouldn't recommend doing it on her, then.
Yeah, this is true. Let's see here. You know what? I mean, I've already gone through the goddamn kidney stone, so I'll piss out a worm, sure.
In my head, a worm is easier than a kidney stone. In my head.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
But have you had one, though?
I have not had a kidney stone.
Yeah, you're not going to ever say that. So,
all right, Count.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and pee out this worm now, only because I know if I were operating on a family member, I would 100% kill them. Because as smart as I think I am, I ain't cutting open nobody successfully, and that just won't go well. So I'm just hoping this is not an extremely large worm or long worm, where this is a long process. But I need someone to hold my hand while I scream.
If it's a tiny baby, like kitty cat poopy butt roundworm, it's so tiny you won't even feel it.
Okay. That's reassuring.
It said small worm. I mean,
See?
Okay.
So it's not like
we're gonna
Beetlejuice
go
or
for the
Dune
small
ones.
worms.
yeah, I mean,
we're gonna try and pass that and see how that goes.
All right, Bunny.
as I was just texting to Shirley, we gave birth. Peeing a worm ain't nothing.
Ain't shit. Twice.
All right, friends, thanks for joining us for another episode of Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I'd like to thank my host who joined me, Mr. Wayne Kurr. It was great having you back.
Thank you for having me back. Do you have any recommendations for a different tasting lube, please?
Yes.
I hate it here.
Personally fond of this brand that I found called Fuckwater.
I really
Is it water?
hate it here.
Yeah, it is, because they have other ones that aren't, but the Fuckwater one.
So that's water soluble? Okay, got it.
But I can tell you from past experience, really don't go with flavors. And if you do get a tiny bottle, because if you get like a 16-ounce like shampoo bottle of it, you're going to be sick of green apple. Or it's going to ruin the flavor of Jolly Ranchers for the rest of your life.
I feel like we've told you to stop eating the lube at this point.
Yeah. I learned. That was like 2 partners ago. I threw that one away. All right. Where was I? Oh, yeah. We were saying goodbye to Wayne. Thanks, Wayne. I wonder why it's been so long.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. I'd like to also thank Count Chocolate for being here.
All right, here's my chocolate advice. I tried a chocolate rose wine today. Do it. And next time I see all of you, I'm bringing some for everybody. I love it.
All right. I want the peanut butter whiskey. It's been too long.
I know. Okay, can we please? Yes, soon, please. I need more of you all in my life. I promise, I do.
All right. Next weekend, we'll figure something out. All right. And now let's get to the fairer, sweeter side of this. Miss Bunny O'Hare, I'm so glad you were here.
Thank you for having me back. It was a pleasure as always.
It was great having you. And last but not least, I'm glad she was back and made it. Miss Shirley Temper.
At first, it was fun, then scary, then fun again, then spooky, but in a fun way.
What's that from? I remember that.
Anybody?
I know.
It's She-Hulk. Get out.
I haven't seen it.
I knew it was She-Hulk because I saw the
It's so good. It's so good, y'all.
All right, friends. Well, thanks for joining us again. I'm so glad we can do that. Everyone out there, make sure you take care of your mental health and prioritize yourself. Put the oxygen mask on your face first before tending to those around you. That means take a day if you need to. All right, friends. Everyone out there, deep breaths, deep drinks. Cheers! Woohoo! Cheers! All right, folks, thanks for joining us for another episode of Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I'd like to thank all of our listeners out there, all of our patrons, all of our hosts, everybody out there. I appreciate you so much. So if you could help us build this podcast up a little bit, find someone in your building and tell them something you heard on this podcast today. And if you really like it, go back, listen to old episodes. And if you've already listened to all the old episodes, join our Patreon. There's almost 100 pieces of exclusive audio content on there that you can't find anywhere else. They are amazing. And you can do that for as little as $5 a month. I think you would love it. I mean, everyone would, right? Everyone? Well, some people. Anyway, I hope you guys take care of yourselves. Visit our sponsor, Ludlam Dramatics. Watch the Elvis movie on HBO. Do all the great stuff. All right, friends, take care of yourselves. Cheers!